Good evening. This is your girl, Chaplain Tammie, just stopping by for a moment to share a scripture and a brief testimony in regard to that scripture. I'm coming from Matthew 9:20 through 22, excuse me. Just then, a woman who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years came up behind him and touched the edge of his cloak. She said to herself, "If I only touch his cloak, I will be healed." Jesus turned and saw her. "Take heart, daughter," he said. "Your faith has healed you." And the woman was healed at that moment. My commentary reads, in our times of desperation, we don't have to worry about the correct way to reach out to God. Like the woman, we can simply reach out in faith, and he will respond. About 20 years ago, out of nowhere, I started having seizures. And so I was prescribed medication, and I was told that I would have to take them the rest of my life. So I probably took them about a year and a half. And I was in the world. I knew of God. I wouldn't say I was a woman of faith. I didn't know I was anyway at that time. And so, but I was going to a revival. And I heard a woman's testimony. It was just like mine. She said that out of nowhere that she had started having seizures, and she was prescribed medications. But difference is she was a strong woman of faith, had always been in church, and she knew of healing. So she decided not to fill the prescription, and she was waiting on God to heal her. So as I was sitting there and I was listening, I didn't know at that time, but I was getting a revelation in my spirit. So when I get home from this revival, I go to the bathroom and I take my prescription and I flush them down the toilet. And my husband at that time, he said, "Well, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, if God going to heal her, he's going to heal me." And I can testify today that I have never had a seizure since that moment. I stood in faith, not knowing I had faith, and I was healed just by believing, trusting in God, trusting in what God did for someone else, he would do for me. And I can honestly say I was really in the world. I didn't think fornication was wrong. I didn't think using drugs was wrong. I'm sure in my heart I did, but I didn't have a lot of conviction at that time. But at that day, at that moment, when I heard that word, I felt in my spirit that God was going to do that for me. So I'm testifying today that he did. So trust and believe God for your healing today. We can't earn it, we just have to believe it. So anyway, you have a blessed evening, and until tomorrow, God bless.